want you to have that. We're going to do a panel. Are you by yourself, Myron? Okay, well, I'm going to give you a oh my God, okay. Sophia's back to moderate. This is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't start this until you start going absolutely crazy. I mean Ghostbuster crazy. Here, Pamela, you give me a shout. Give me a shout. Ghostbuster! There you go, we can actually start this. Sophia, take it away. We need microphones though. I gotta steal microphones for you. 1 second. Hold on. Take this one and tell the crowd what you're going to be doing.
Well, welcome everyone. Today we are going to be doing a panel with Violet Ramis, Harold Ramis' daughter. He played Egon in the movie, and yeah, thank you so much for carrying on your father's legacy. What's it like for you to be at an event that's celebrating just such a major milestone in his career?
Hi everyone. It's amazing to be here, actually. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that I could never have imagined 35 years ago that Ghostbusters would still be such a big part of my life, and that there would be so many people to share it with from all over the world. It's really like a miracle.
What's your fondest memory from your father acting in the movies, or just like what's your favorite part of all of this?
Somebody just yelled. All right. My favorite part of all of this has really just been connecting with other fans and people who my dad impacted through his work and through Ghostbusters specifically. It's just really, it's like getting him back in a certain way when people come up and say how much the movie meant to them, and that he influenced their lives in some way.
I'm sure it's so incredible, but he was your father. Did you ever see him differently when you found out he was an actor, or was he still just like your dad and you were kind of confused when people saw him differently as a child?
Yeah, I definitely I loved him. I thought he was great, but I didn't understand maybe the excitement that other people felt about it. It's like, if your dad was a plumber and people were like, oh my God, coming up to you on the street, it would be strange. So for me, it was just what I was used to, and it was nothing different.
And unfortunately, your dad, he's not here to speak about how he became an actor and what inspired him to start his journey on Ghostbusters. But can you fill us in a little bit about what it was for him that made him want to do all of this and become a Ghostbuster?
Yeah, I mean, he came to Ghostbusters just through comedy, generally. Dan Aykroyd wrote the original script, and it was really out there from what I hear. And so Ivan, brought my dad in to sort of bring things back to earth a little bit. He was that guy in comedy, sort of the straight man. And he really, he and Dan worked so closely together, making the script what it is. And he knew that he was going to act in it. Obviously Bill and Dan are very big personalities, so he wasn't trying to compete with them. He just wanted to be the smart guy that was sort of hanging back, and that's who he was in real life too.
Well, that's so amazing, that 35 years later, his presence is seen throughout the world through the movies. And I know you wrote a book about his life. What kind of inspired you to want to share his story to everyone?
Well, the book is really about my life with him. I mean, I knew that I could never write an objective sort of biography. It had to be just about our experience together. After he, passed away, I think I just was really missing him and wanting to remember as much as I could. And as I started writing down those memories, I realized, well, other people might be interested in this too. And so that's, how the book came up, just really a way to share what I knew of him with other people.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Because I am a huge SCTV. I'm a huge Harold Ramis, and I know in college at Wisconsin, my thesis was on SCTV. You're growing up with your father. Is there stories that you have when you're a child and he's doing SCTV and he's doing Stripes and he's doing just these comical things that when the actors maybe came by your house and just these stories that you must be laughing your entire childhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely a lot of characters around throughout my childhood. I was actually born in Toronto when he was there working on SCTV. So, you know, all of those hilarious people, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, Andrea Martin, Joe Flaherty, I mean, they were so funny and so smart and so warm, and they all just really loved what they were doing and loved working together. So, you know, I don't think they always seemed like grown-ups to me necessarily, but they were definitely fun playmates to have.
So did you spend a lot of your childhood on sets, or were you mostly just, you saw your father leave and then come back?
No, I was with him a lot of the time. I was like kind of a tag along. And he was happy to have me. And, you know, a movie set is actually a great place to have a kid because there are plenty of babysitters around. So I'd, you know, go get a mustache and hair and makeup and, you know, go get a snack, and it was great.
Well, that must have been amazing to see all the different setups. Is there anything that stands out in your mind as a favorite memory from a set, or just being around all of the actors, a moment in time you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, since we're here at Ghostbusters Fan Fest, you know, being in New York when they were filming the first Ghostbusters was, you know, such an adventure. You know, the city really was a big part of the movie. You know, you can't contain the crowds in New York, so, you know, people were around, they were watching, they were, you know, yelling at them from their taxis. You know, it was a different time, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, everyone that was involved was so excited about what they were doing, and yeah, they just couldn't wait to put it out there.
And speaking of favorite things, you know, with your book, what is the favorite part of your book that you wrote, and how long did it actually take you from beginning to end to write?
It took about 2 years altogether, which is fast. You know, I loved writing it because I was getting to sort of relive all those memories, and there are a lot of photographs in the book, so it really felt like almost making a family album. You know, for my dad, of my dad. I just really wanted to pay tribute to, you know, to what a great father he was, not just as a public person in the movies, but you know, who he was at home, and so I hope that I did that a little bit.
Definitely, and I think the amazing thing is, you know, a lot of people see actors as just almost like an enigma. They see them from a distance, they love them, they cherish the work that they do, but they don't actually see the more human side of them, the side that does come home to their daughters.
Stars, they're just like us.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing about you writing the book, is that people are able to see the family life, they're able to see beyond just the cameras, they're able to kind of relate more to the people that they cherish in their lives, and able to have more of a memory with that and to relate, and it just really brings people together more.
I think that's true, and I think, you know, now with social media and, you know, with all the technology that we have, it's much easier to sort of get that view into people. Everyone's, you know, showing what they ate for breakfast on Instagram and, you know, on Twitter, but, you know, since he sort of missed out on that, you know, I'm really just here to, you know, to, again, share what I know of him. And all the great stuff that he, you know, taught and gave to me, and just, you know, be sort of like a stand-in for him as much as I can.
Definitely, and you know, he made such an impact on your life, obviously, as your father, but all these people here as well, and that's the really incredible thing. You being able to carry on his legacy to these events, I'm sure, is just means more to him than anything, you know. I mean, this is Ghostbusters. There is, you know, the movie is about afterlife, and so I think that it's really amazing that you're doing this. So, you know, congratulations on the book, and I'm sure there's so many people who have questions in the audience. So, should we take some audience questions?
I got a microphone if you have a question, but while we're doing that, I think part of it also is your father embodies something that there was every actor has an ego, but his ego was, he was so down to earth, and you can see that he's down to earth in everything he's portrayed. Everything from Stripes, he's just this guy that you want to have a beer with if he drinks beer. And I just think it's this quality of Harold that is, and that's it. It's sort of you gravitate towards this guy going, what? You can tell this is such a nice person.
He really was. He was a genuinely good guy, and I think he always, he did have an ego. I'm not gonna lie. But he would say some days, I feel like, the best filmmaker, the luckiest guy in the world, and other days I feel like the same schmuck I've always been. And so I think it's, being able to hold both of those things together that, made him really relatable to everyone.
Yeah, and that's so important, especially, with social media. I feel like a lot of people want to live their best lives, but they also want to portray that. But, not every day is perfect. So showing that, there is a difference between what's shown on social media or on camera and TV versus real life is so important because it shows people that perfection isn't necessary all the time and that there is a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you just do your best, and even if you fail, try again the next day, and that's sort of the best you can do.
I have a question.
How long away from home was your dad from Toronto when he was filming in New York?
Or date-wise, like how was he away from you while filming? How many weeks, months?
No, I mean, he took me with him for the most part. So I would just leave school and, sort of go on a road trip. It was the 80s. Nobody cared.
I was homeschooled too, but I was the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Mom, go deep. A question here, yes.
In the real Ghostbusters cartoon, did you ever thought your dad was voicing his character?
I was so mad about the real Ghostbusters cartoon when it first came out. I just really felt so protective of my dad's Egon, and I thought, well, who's this blonde guy? That's not my Egon. And then, over time, seeing it, and I've been able to meet Maurice LaMarche, who did the voice, and he's so fantastic.
He's just here an hour ago on his
He's the best.
couch. Yeah.
And so, what I really learned from the cartoon is that Ghostbusters, has a life of its own. It's an idea that cannot be contained, in one movie, in one idea. There's going to be many interpretations, and they can all, there's something for everyone.
Another question here.
Hey, so your dad used to hand out a pamphlet called the 5-Minute Buddhist.
Yes,
I've read it over. I like it. I have it in the wallet.
Yeah.
Do you abide by those thoughts, or what do you think about it?
Yes, my dad was very into spirituality. He grew up, Jewish, and then he sort of became a Buddhist later in life. He I don't know if you could hear the question, but he created this sort of pamphlet called the 5-Minute Buddhist, because people would say, oh, well, you're a Buddhist now? What's that? And so instead of explaining it every time, he would just hand them the pamphlet. What it was really about for him, again, was sort of just living a good life, being a good person, being ethical, being kind and compassionate, and do no harm, or as little as you can. So I think he lived his spirituality in a very practical way. I didn't take that on yet. Maybe in 10 years I'll have a spiritual awakening, but it really meant a lot to him, to be able to sort of have that and share it with people.
It's a much better read than the 5-minute abs. Here you go. Thank you. Yeah. Quick question. So, as a child growing up on the movie sets with your father and everything, I'm sure as a child you're very curious and being around all this stuff. Did you ask your father about the movies that were being made and what it was about, or did he tell you about that stuff, and did he get to really explain to you what was going on while you were on the movie sets?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was a teacher when he was younger, so he really liked to explain things and show things, and I think there was part of him that was so much like a kid, hey, this is so cool, he wanted to be able to share that with people. So yes, he loved going into details about effects, or what they had to do to get a certain shot. He really sort of enjoyed and appreciated the art of what he was doing, and not just him, but the props people, the costumers. I mean, it's definitely a group effort.
Did he shape or inform your sense of humor in any way?
I mean, yeah. guess. He didn't censor a lot from me, or my family. My brother likes to joke that, when you're 6 years old and you watch South Park with your dad, it's hard to like go to school and talk about Rugrats. He really sort of threw us in there, and we love to see him laugh more than anything. So if he was laughing, we knew it was funny.
That's such amazing that you have those memories. And speaking of your dad explaining stuff on set, what was his favorite memory? Did he ever tell you?
No. We're not a big list family, top 5, top 10. He really enjoyed every day. He was doing what he loved to do, and he was able to do mostly what he wanted with people that he really wanted to work with. So, I don't think he had, necessarily a favorite movie or a favorite experience. He was just, really fortunate, and he felt that gratitude.
And when he was explaining to you about special effects, was there anything that stuck out to you as just surprising in the way that they were actually able to create something in the film?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being on the set, and I think it was here, I guess, when they were doing, the sort of Dana levitating off the bed, and it was the same rig from The Exorcist, which was my favorite movie at 6 years old. And so, it was so cool to see, now I understand. A lot of those little tricks that now would be probably done digitally then were actually sort of hands-on.
Definitely. I think we have a question over there.
A young Ghostbuster, Aiden.
Hi,
Big fan of
Aiden.
your father and the Ghostbuster. Aiden, fire away.
When your dad was making the movie Ghostbusters, were you afraid of ghosts?
That's a good question. I was a little afraid of ghosts. I like scary movies because I like to feel sort of creeped out, but like the Ghostbusters, my dad always said there's nothing to be afraid of. No monsters here.
Who are you gonna call?
I'll call you Aiden.
By the way, Aiden will be signing autographs in about an hour. Aiden, big fan of yours.
I'll give you your $50.
Oh my God, you get $50 for that question. I think it's got to be great because there's so many young kids that are part of the Ghostbuster culture. It lives on and on and on, and it'll always live on. They're going to make a new one in 2020, and it's just the legacy is amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Definitely. I know I'm actually a paranormal investigator in real life, and I started at a very young age, and I think that movies like Ghostbusters and shows like Scooby-Doo really contributed to who I am today. So it's amazing to see how just watching something can actually sculpt you in life and lead you to, well, here I am now.
Yeah, that's so cool. I want to hear more about that, but maybe
I would love to tell you. And, with Ghostbusters, did your dad actually believe in the paranormal?
I think he was open to anything. My mom, who's here somewhere, is very into sort of the occult, and she's a believer. So he, through her, I think, was sort of exposed to a lot of that. And he would say, well, I don't know. It could be, it could not, but people believe in things for all different kinds of reasons, and I think, whatever it means for us, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we have a question.
The last question right now.
I'm just curious, so what do you think your dad would think of this?
I mean, I've been telling people all day, it's unbelievable. Fandom was just not at this level when the movie came out, when he was alive. I remember showing him, maybe in 2000, a photograph on the internet, the interwebs, of someone with a Ghostbusters tattoo, and he was like, what? Somebody would get a Ghostbusters tattoo on their body? And now it's
There's a Ghostbuster, just walk right by.
Yeah.
There's a Ghostbuster.
So I think he would have been totally delighted and amazed and really proud of the life that the Ghostbusters still have.
And speaking of life with the Ghostbusters, we have another
Last question now. I was kidding. There's one more question.
Hi, my question, but I have something to give you.
Oh.
Because you're Egon's dad, a daughter. I'm giving out like all the stars of Smarties. Well, not really all of them because some of them are busy.
Well, I'm luckily not.
Here you go.
Well, you can go up there and get it. And also, we got great news. His father is also going to give you a brand new car. Okay. Good. Give her the gift.
Come on over.
There you go. What's, I think you have the Brandon giving out a Smarties.
Smarties from Canadian all the way to Canada.
Canadian treats. I'll take it. Smarties for
Thanks,
you.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Brandon, did you get me anything?
Hi.
Brandon,
Thank you, Brandon.
give me some later, Brandon, please. Thanks.
And thank you everyone who had questions today. Thank you so much, Violet, for coming out here and sharing stories about your father and yourself.
If you see him in your investigations,
I will definitely let you know. But yeah, thank you so much and congratulations on all the success with your book and everything that is going on here today.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And Violet, everybody, Violet Ramis, forever fan. I'm going to get one more hug with all that. And everybody that's in the audience, and Violet, where are you at signing at? Where?
I'm against the back wall. I've got
Against the-
books and I'm there all day.
Up against the back wall.